Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. And today's video is going to be a recap of my weekly fragrance rotation, rounding out this third week of September 2024. So at least where I've been at, it's been unseasonably warm. We've been up in the higher 80s and low 90s here throughout the course of this last week. So even though it's been reaching into the autumn season, I've still been having to grab for a little bit more light, effervescent, and even citrusy style fragrances, but still kind of trying to reach for things that have some of that autumnal feel, some dryness in terms of their texture perhaps. Still some citrus leaning fragrances despite there being some accords that are more papery, maybe hay-like. Things of that nature, some brighter leathers. Starting off with Monday, to speak of bright leathers, this is going to be Russian Tea from Masque Milano, my scent of the day for Monday. And what a treat this has been. A little bit of a blessing or a curse, depending on how you want to look at it. Since I've gotten this fragrance in, I've almost lost all of my enthusiasm for the rest of the fragrances in my collection. I've fallen in love with this so much, and just it's been such a good contender for the type of weather that I've been having here where I'm at in the Midwest this September season, that I just haven't really been yearning for anything to wear as much as this one, even though I've kind of been forcing myself to wear other fragrances for the sake of just giving my rotation a bit of variety for having so many fragrances. But this is a stunning example of a black tea accord. There's a really nice leather here that is more pronounced than the tea, in my opinion. I think this is a really nice, bright, leathery fragrance. There's a little bit of a sweetness. I think raspberry is a listed note, but I get more of a sort of watery honey type sweetness, like something that I would get with some honey sinking to the bottom of a cup of a nice, fresh brewed cup of black tea. There's that leathery nuance that gives a really sophisticated texture to this, and then a mint note as well that gives it this brisk, cooling quality and makes it great for refreshing off in these hot days that I've been having here in that 90-degree price or temperature point. But really stunning juice. I think I picked this up for about $170 off of Frag Buy, and I've seen these 100 mLs come down as low as like $155 on Joma Shop. So definitely get your nose on this one. I would say sample it, because it's not exactly going to be everyone's cup of tea, no pun intended, but this, like I said, has just been so stunning of an addition to the collection. Really looking forward to wearing this one a lot more throughout the remainder of this autumn season. So that was Russian Tea from Masque Milano for Monday. Tuesday, again, like I said, kind of keeping in with these brighter, citrusy style fragrances that are built for the autumn, in my opinion. Cartier L'Envol. This is the Eau de Parfum. Sadly discontinued, but you can still find these at the discounters kind of floating around. I think the 50 mLs are a little bit more common than I believe this was the 80 ml. And I think there is a 100 ml style bottle of this, but this, I think, is built to replicate the sensation of drinking mead, which is a type of alcohol built from honey, and honey is definitely the main player here. This definitely has this nice nectar style feel to it. I even get covered in insects whenever I've been outside near a campground or a forest while wearing this fragrance, so the honey does come out in a very realistic manner, and enough of a sense that it is attracting insects to me. But very nice, nectary, watery. There's a violet note in here that makes up much of the scent profile. Slightly woody, musky tones as well, but really beautiful, nice, liquid textured sort of light, airy honey fragrance. Really just beautiful stuff. That citrus quality also gives it a sparkly effervescence as well. Wears very light and easygoing. Doesn't have the most projection, so it's a soft-spoken style fragrance. Definitely something that I would wear to like a brunch or a day date during this period of the early autumn. But again, Cartier, some of the best fragrances from the designer realm. Sadly, they almost always get discontinued. Things like Declaration D'un Soir Intense. Looking to get my hands on Cartier Roadster at some point, but this one is definitely one you want to scoop up now before it is gone for good. So that was L'Envol, the Eau de Parfum for Tuesday. Wednesday, a fragrance that I think is overpriced, but glad to have it in the collection. Picked mine up for $260 from Joma Shop. They're generally a lot more expensive, and I ideally wouldn't want to pay more than like $180 for this if I had to put a price point on the value of it, but this is Creed's Spice and Wood. So really nice in terms of the quality in here. It definitely smells expensive. There's a nice textural feel to the citruses in here, and I feel like that's one of the breaking points for clones, is that they capture the citric scent profile, but not quite that sparkly textural feel that you get off of realistic citruses. There's also a green apple note in here that adds this additional freshness to it, kind of like the green apple that you get in Nautica Voyage. Not like the same quality, but that almost watery type of fruity quality going on over the top of this, in addition with the very nice cedary style forest woods in here, very dry and spicy, as the name would have you suggest, spice and wood. Gives it very much an autumn in a bottle sensation. That green apple mixed in with those woods definitely makes it feel like having an apple pie. Not quite so sweet, but just the waft of that going on in the scenery of the rural autumn landscape. This one also has a very nice, classy sophistication about it. I wouldn't necessarily say this is particularly formal. I think Royal Oud is going to be a little bit better suited for formal occasions than this one, but I think this is a fine office scent or a signature scent as well. Definitely very easy to wear. Very light going, but has a certain command of respect about it. It's got that old school, old world feel to the woods in there, and definitely something, like I said, glad to have in the collection, but I wouldn't recommend overpaying for that. I luckily spent less on that than I did on Royal Oud, which I'm glad, because I feel like I prefer Royal Oud than Spice and Wood. Moving into Thursday, Sauvage Parfum, one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, point blank period. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Not sure why we're having a little bit of a difficulty there. Anywho, so we've got Sauvage Parfum, like I said, one of my favorites in my collection. Beautiful barbershop style fragrance. It gives off this very black licorice style scent profile as well, in addition to the really refined lavender, and then beautiful citruses off the top also. So the citrus vibe going on in here lends itself to part of what makes this fragrance so well suited for these higher heat temperatures that we've had going on. And then that lavender barbershop feel plays very well into the transitional weather and autumn season. And I just think this is one of my favorites for a reason. It's just so easy to wear, versatile, and it has that classy vibe going on due to the barbershop genre, which is my favorite genre of fragrance. Pretty affordable as well, and the vintage version is something that I've worn so far to the delivery room for both of my children. Speaking of, it's been a little bit of a heavy week in terms of just processing things. Me and my wife just found out that we are expecting our third child in May, so that's been kind of weighing on me. Been a little bit scatterbrained, hard to get focused and reprioritize everything, but I was glad I was able to kind of pencil in this video here. I did try to shoot one other video over the weekend, but the audio of my mic cut out. So as I was editing that, I realized I had to scrap it. But again, hopefully having some more content coming out soon. Just been a little bit all over the place lately with the news breaking and everything. It's been both exciting and a little bit making me nervous to some degree. But Friday was a day where I like to wear niche fragrances. So after rocking Sauvage on Thursday, I had this one come in the mail Thursday night, so really excited to have this for Friday. Something that I've been trying to get a hold of for a long time. Sadly, it was an unexpected expenditure. Didn't really plan on buying this, but it's really hard to get a hold of. It rarely even pops up on places like eBay anymore. So when I saw it on Mercari, I had to pull the trigger. And this is Bracken Man from Amouage. And so I did get this as a partial. It was pretty much already had this big of a dent in it when I scooped it up. Only my first wearing here on Friday, and really stunning juice. Really glad to have it. It is a little bit redundant if you have Fougere Royale from Houbigant. I feel like they're quite similar. This one definitely has a little bit more of a spicy masculine edge to it, whereas I feel like the Fougere Royale is more floral and dandy. I wouldn't say that either of them are effeminate, but the Pubagon is definitely a lot more of like a dandy boy kind of fragrance, whereas this one has this spicy nuance from a heavy-handed clove. And then because of that, it dries down into something that's a little bit almost pumpkin spice-esque. Is kind of like how my interpretation of this was in the dry down. It got very, it's pretty creamy throughout the wearing experience, but it's a lot more sweet, vanillic, and clove heavy in the dry down. And so find this one just slightly edging out the Fougere Royale, but I think you're fine to not go ahead and scoop this one up if you've already got that. Glad to have that one, though. I love the aesthetic of the bottle, and just wanted to have it in my collection as somebody who's a big fan of the Fougere genre. So that was really exciting for Friday. Saturday, this was another fragrance that has a heavy-handed lemon citric opening, and something which was great because Saturday it was 90 degrees. I think one of the hottest days that we've had. I think September was even warmer than August for us here where we've been at. So this heavy-handed citrus played pretty well into that warm weather. And then we also had a really nice dry down with this fragrance that moves into a papery, dry, book-like sensation. A little bit similar to how L'Instant de Guerlain has a really nice opening with citruses and moves into this kind of very dry, woody sensation. This is almost like that fragrance without the cacao note. This is Grimoire from Anatole Lebreton. And so I've been kind of doing a little bit of an exploration into spooky themed fragrances with October coming up. Grimoire is kind of like a name for a spell book. And I think this would be a fine fragrance for that Halloween season. Like I said, it opens up with a very strong lemon, almost like Eau de Rochas is a fragrance in my collection that I could kind of compare the opening of this to. So heavy-handed, almost lemon cleaner style citruses. And then the dry down gets very papery, dry, and reminiscent of a library or a book, grimoire, like almost like Bentley from an Absolute. There's a little bit of that dry papyrusy sensation going on down there. This has that very much so, and it keeps into that very, like I said, old library sensation. So I think this would be great for the whole October season. Maybe not as spooky and dark as some other fragrances might be in the incense category, I would say. But I think that even though this doesn't want to focus here, this would be a great one, easily wearable. It's not too artistic and dark and dank like some of the other fragrances I've been trying out for Halloween, but this is one I'm really looking forward to wearing throughout the remainder of this warmer weather here in the autumn season. Very autumnal fragrance, and I picked it up for a pretty affordable price. I think with a coupon at Scent Split, I got that for $105 for a 50 ml. And then finally, ending off the week with Sunday, Iris Nazarena was my scent of the day, a perfect companion for the weather that we had. The weather broke. We got a lot of rain on and off throughout the day. On Sunday, the temperatures came down into the 70s, and they're looking to stay there for the remainder of the 10-day forecast, which has been awesome. This very much is reminiscent of that, weather-breaking rain. This, if I had to describe it in a picture form, I would say that this is very reminiscent to me of a silver lining on a cloud. It definitely has a silvery aura about it. It has this smoky textural feel, but it's not like burnt smoke. It's almost just like a vapor of some sense, like almost like the scent trail that a benevolent ghost would leave behind. There's also this very dry, latexy feeling about this fragrance in terms of it's very sparkly, but not in a citrus sparkle. It's almost like glittery, if I had to describe it. It has this kind of like sparkle, like the way that the reflection of the light's coming off the bottle here. So silvery, airy, smoky, but not like burnt smoky, just ethereal. Very light wearing, but not... It lasts. It has a good degree of longevity, this fragrance, and it's got some heavy-handedness because of a strong leathery note in here. There's also a slight fruitiness to the leather, and I'm not sure if that's because of the notes in here or the way that they construct the leather accord, which I think sometimes they use violet in order to make a leathery cord, and there could be some sweetness from a violet note in this one. Just absolutely stunning juice. Definitely sample before you get it though, because I feel like the light ethereal quality about it, it definitely takes it out of like a beast mode category. So if you're into having strong and overpowering style fragrances, this definitely isn't that one. But as far as iris fragrances go, I feel like this is almost fixes some of the problems that I had with Hermes's Iris, which I found a little bit too floral, fleeting, and effeminate. This one, because of the incense and the leather, I feel like adds a certain degree of ruggedness to a scent profile that is similar to that, and does a really good job. It has a little bit of this earthy carrot style opening as well. Just beautiful, multifaceted iris. Definitely something worth getting your nose on. I particularly enjoy this brand, Aedes de Venustas. I think I have 3 bottles from them currently and plan on getting Cafe Tabac before the end of the winter season. This one, Cafe Tabac, which I've sampled, and then Copal Azur are probably my top 3 favorites from the brand. So if you're looking to check them out, definitely sample those 3 first off of my recommendations. So those were my 7 fragrances that I rocked this 3rd week of September in my weekly rotation. Let me know what your rotation was in the comment section down below. And as always, I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.